trifles. They are trifles only slightly larger in size than those of children, and therefore St. Augustine says, are they called business? Yet even though all these things I have mentioned are trifles when compared to the business of the life to come, yet they keep the vast majority of people so occupied that they cannot give a thought to the business of the heavenly kingdom, which is the one true and serious business of life. All these things are seen by the heavenly professor, Jesus, who has taken our instruction under his charge, that we may be found worthy to lay hold upon the kingdom of heaven. He does not cease to grieve over our little twists and turns, and to cry out, "O children, how long will you love childlessness? And fools covet those things which are hurtful to themselves. Why do you love vanity and seek after lying?" And then, with his foot, he overturns our little houses of pottery. He often confounds our designs. A merchant awaits a cargo freighter loaded with goods from the Orient, and behold, he hears that the ship has been wrecked and all his merchandise sunk in the ocean. Some other man places all his hope in his son and trusts that in a short time he will become a doctor of theology, a canonist, even pope. He builds upon him all the lofty towers of his thoughts, and behold, he hears that a slight fever has come upon his son, and that now after a few days the boy has reached the close of his life. Another man is invited to a wedding, to an elegant luncheon, to an illustrious drinking party. He makes ready to go, and behold, an ailment comes upon him, and he is compelled to effect its cure by abstaining from wine and food. Who is it, I ask you, who does these things to us? Who is it who thus eludes the thoughts and counsels of men? My dear people, it is our professor who does these things, and he does them not because he hates us, but because he dearly loves us. For he wishes to cut away the impediments that hold us back as we run our course toward heaven, and that keep us from paying heed to the choice of heaven we have made. Truly, after the manner of foolish children, we bear with a mean spirit the overthrow of our houses of poverty, the loss of earthly resources, and other chastisements of the Lord. Yea, we pile up yet again our little pottery houses, but to the kingdom of heaven, to which we are called through these lashings, we give no thought. But the time will come, believe me, the time will come when through the gate of death we shall enter another world, a world where we shall suddenly find that we are full-grown adults, where we shall suddenly find a new region where no child can be found. For all of us, when we pass hence out of this life, are by that very passage changed into grown men. There it shall be announced to us, for we have been prepared the kingdom of heaven and those most beautiful domiciles, if only you had given heed to true wisdom. But because you preferred to be foolish children and despise the voice and admonitions of the professor, you shall be cast forth with ignominy and disgrace into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, Matthew 25:30, and other tortures and eternal punishments. My dear people, what shall we say then? What shall we think then of those little pottery houses, those ludicrous honors, those childish businesses, when we shall perceive more clearly that the light of the sun, that on account of shadows and dreams we have brought about the loss of things which are inexplicably good, truly lasting, and never perishing. Oh, with what grief of spirit shall sinful men then say, "What hath pride profited us, or what advantage hath the boasting of riches brought us?" Wisdom 5:8. What did it profit us to go running over all lands and oceans in order to pile up wealth? What did it profit us to spend such great labor to maintain our state in the palaces of princes? What did it profit us to apply such intense art to the courting of great honors? That is, to the courting of earth and ashes, so that we might attain to honors ourselves. What did it profit us to rack our brains and spend our whole nights in study, so that we could comprehend the most obscure authors and capture from them some ray of light. For behold, all these things have passed like shadows, and we have been ignorant of the true honors, true riches, true pleasures, true wisdom of the true and highest eternal good. And we have lost these things past any hope of regaining them. My dear people, this grief of spirit will be so great that, although all of the damned will surely know that every access to eternal beatitude has been closed to them, and that the greatest gulf has been put between themselves and the place of the blessed, yet by the force of natural desire they will not be able to refrain from speaking the words, Lord, Lord, open to us. Our most wise doctor, St. John Chrysostom, therefore says, hell is indeed an intolerable thing. Who does not know that the punishment of hell is also horrible? Now, if a person were to posit the existence of 1,000 hells, he could say nothing that would accurately convey what is to be thrust away from the honor of that blessed glory of heaven. To be hated by Christ and to hear from him the words, I never knew you, Matthew 7:23, and be charged with having denied food and drink to him when he hungered and thirsted. It would be better to endure 1,000 bolts of lightning than to see the face of gentleness and piety turned away from us, and those eyes full of all tranquility, in no way able to bear the sight of us. The loss of the highest good carries with it the loss of all other good things as well. What does this mean? Simply that the eyes of the damned shall never again perceive any beautiful sight, nor the ears any sweet singing, nor their sense of taste any joyful savor, nor their sense of touch any gentle thing. For once a person has been excluded from the consortium of God, he is plunged once and for all into the ocean of all woes and calamities without any hope of escape. Let me conclude at this point what I had to say concerning the loss of the highest good, and proceed now to that torture which theologians call the penalty of the sense. This torture is so named because it is to be applied to the senses and energies, to those of the body without as well as the soul within. Let us speak first of the torture of the interior senses. There are 4 faculties of the soul which pertain to this matter before us. Hang on. This torture is so named because it is to be applied to the senses and energies, to those of the body without as well as to the soul within. Let us speak first of the torture of the interior senses. There are 4 faculties of the soul which pertain to this matter before us, and which will be tortured by astonishing torments in hell. The first is that faculty to which the Greeks gave the name phantasia, but to which we give the name of thought. The second is memory. The third is intelligence, and the fourth is will. The faculty of thought will be tortured by a certain most weighty grasp of the torments in which the body and spirit shall then dwell. For in this life some grievous pain can so subdue thought unto itself that a man, even though he fervently wishes it, cannot keep from thinking of that pain. What shall be brought in souls by the punishments of hell, which are greater beyond compare? Thus thought shall make pains acute, and pain shall excite thought, and they shall mutually so fuel each other that they will leave no place at rest in the souls or bodies of the damned. Such shall be the perpetual contemplations of those who could have fruitfully meditated upon these things, but have refused to do so, or those who scorn here on earth to apply the most useful thoughts as a bridle against their lusts. In the life to come, these very thoughts shall be cruel executioners to torment them. Memory also shall be no slight cross to the souls of the damned, when it shall be put before them the old-time happiness and bygone pleasures, for the sake of which they have come down to these torments. For then, finally, they shall know with what bountiful salt were sprinkled those banquets which once seemed so sweet to them, and with what sharp pepper they were seasoned. But much more mightily shall there be torment shall they be tortured when they compare the brevity of bygone pleasures to the eternity of their present sorrows. For what mathematician can be found who is so learned that he can define for us the great gulf by which time is surpassed by eternity? What bellowings, therefore, shall they give forth? What sighs shall they heave up from their inmost hearts when, by careful process of thought, they shall discover that pleasures lasting for scarcely a moment in time have passed away like a shadow of a dream, or while sorrows shall have no end or term. Intelligence, because it is more eminent and keen-sighted faculty, shall be tortured with a more intolerable cross. For in this faculty shall be found that worm which sacred Scripture so often threatens upon sinners when it says, their worm shall not die and their fire shall not be quenched. For as a worm rises from wood and gnaws constantly at the very wood from which it has risen, so too is this worm born of sin, and with sin it carries on an everlasting war. For this worm is nothing other than perpetual penance, a penance full of raving and desperation and pain, rising from sins, pain which shall fasten its clutches on the souls of the damned when they realize that because of those sins they have lost the kingdom of heaven and brought on themselves these indescribable tortures. We read in the book of Genesis that the Egyptians once had 7 years of such fertility and abundance that they ran out of silos in which to pile up their grain. These were followed by 7 other years of such unproductiveness and penury that they were compelled to barter their money, their fields, their cattle, and their very selves for grain. What could describe how mightily they grieved during this latter time over their negligence in conserving grain at a time when the very mass of it was overflowing their granaries? What could describe their grief at not having provided for the time of future penury, when the diligent stockpiling of grain would not only have freed them from poverty and hunger, but also have made them most rich? My dear people, the worm of the damned is such that it knows no rest day or night, but forever chews, gnaws, consumes, and feeds upon the entrails of the wretched. Neither can the wretched ever forget what a splendid opportunity they had here on earth, not only of avoiding these penalties at a meager cost, but of securing the kingdom of heaven at a slender price. As it is, they wrangle with each other forever and say, woe unto us! To us the kingdom of heaven was offered, and offered gratis. Nay, we were even pleaded with to accept it, and we refused.